Okay, so Dad, what were your parents like when you were growing up?
What were they like?
Yeah, you have to talk loud.
Um, well, my dad worked a lot. So we didn't see my dad a lot. He was working. My mom was pretty much she pretty much ran the whole household. We had 6 kids, and I was number 4. So I remember my parents. They were just always busy. My mom was always doing something. One of the kids were always doing something. So we didn't see them a lot. I remember we had a lot of really good family vacations where we'd go camping and the whole family would go, and it was a lot of fun.
What was your favorite family vacation?
It was probably the time we went camping for like 3 weeks all across the U.S. And we actually met up with my dad after like 2 weeks. So we did it 2 weeks without my dad. Then we met up with him, and then we went another week. So that was probably my favorite family vacation.
Who do you think you spent more time with, your mom or your dad?
Oh, my mom by far, because my dad, he used to work 8-10 hours. He would work a lot of overtime because a lot of kids.
Yeah.
And so he was always working overtime when he could get it at work. So we'd see him on weekends, but he'd usually get home from work at like 5 or 6 at night, and so and he'd go to work usually actually before we were in school. So we didn't see a lot of him. So on the weekends we'd see him. We'd go fishing. That was his favorite thing to do, and that's what he always wanted to do on the weekend. We would always go fishing. So
I thought he didn't eat fish.
he didn't.
He would just catch it?
He liked to catch them. He didn't like to eat them. It's actually when he was a boy growing up. His family didn't have a lot of money, and he ate fish a lot because every time he caught a fish, that was like dinner on the table.
Yeah.
So.
All right. What were your siblings like?
My siblings. Well, the oldest two, Michael and Sheila, they were much older than me. So they.
How much older is Uncle Mike?
How much older is Uncle Mike? Is he?
Is
he? He might even be. Let me see.
8 years?
Yeah, I think he's 8 or 9 years older than me. So there's a significant age difference between Mike and Sheila. So I didn't see them as much because they went off to college, and I saw them when I was little, but not so much because the age difference was pretty large. Karen was a little closer, so I saw her a little bit more, and we both used to be like in gymnastics, so I saw her a lot because of that.
You did gymnastics?
Yes, I did gymnastics for like...
You never told me that.
7 years. At one point...
When did you do gymnastics?
That was the first sport I ever did. At one point, I was the state champion.
No, you weren't.
I was the state champion, and you can ask Karen. In
what?
In Florax, I won the state, and then...
No, you didn't. When did you do gymnastics?
I took like third on the side horse, man.
That's not a thing. What is a side horse?
The horse.
What horse? The vault?
No, the horse, pommel horse for men.
I've never heard of that.
Oh,
When did you compete? How old were you?
I did it till like I was like in, I want to say like 3rd or 4th grade.
So you were the state.
I was the state champion on Florax. And I took 3rd on the pommel horse. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How old were you? What year was that?
That was when I was really young. It was like 4th grade, and then I remember they had the big breakup where my sister and her coach broke up, and and I went to the same gym. So by broke up, I mean she decided she was going to a different coach.
Why? Why'd she pick a different coach? Do you remember?
Yeah, there's this other coach. He wasn't too good.
Oh.
And so that meant I was done too. So I quit gymnastics when she switched to another coach. The only coach she could find was like in Palm Beach, and she used to have to travel up there like 3 days a week. And
was that when you lived in Hialeah?
Yeah, that's when we lived in Hialeah. So I saw a lot of Aunt Karen. And so...
what about Uncle John? You probably saw him the most.
I saw Uncle John the most.
Because you were... How far apart are you in age? 2 years?
2 years.
2 years.
But Uncle John, he was...
wild.
He had an interesting outlook on life. I mean, for a year and a half in high school, he moved out. and
You were still living at home then, or weren't you in college?
I was still at home when he moved out. He moved out in like 10th grade, and so
I still can't believe
he
that.
moved out for like a year and a half. So actually, I got my own room. Life was pretty good. No,
You didn't care that he was not living with you?
well, what was I gonna do, man? He
Talk some sense into your little brother.
He chose to live with his girlfriend. Hey.
Was she pregnant?
No.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I'm sure. He just chose to live with her. So her mom was okay with it. So it was interesting. So
That's still really weird.
yeah, so I was a little closer to John, but we actually had different sets of friends because once again I was a little older.
Yeah.
And so we hung out with different people, and then Joe, the youngest by far. Mm-hmm. He was the youngest by far, so the age difference between him and I is probably another, I want to say 8 years. So
I think it's more than that, isn't it?
yeah, it might even be a little more.
Like 10 years?
Yeah, so that's a huge age difference. So
Yeah.
so Joe, I went off to college, and he was still small.
Yeah.
So
Well, what was your best memory with your siblings?
my best,
Or at least one of them. I mean, you have a lot, so.
yeah, there's a lot of siblings. My best memory with one of my siblings. Actually, it was when all the guys went on a trip. All the brothers went on a trip to Costa Rica, and we went whitewater rafting. Mm-hmm. And that was probably the most fun we've had in a long, long time.
How old were you? Wasn't that when you had me and Danny already?
Yeah. You guys were smaller.
Yeah.
You couldn't go. It would have been dangerous, but it was really dangerous. It was actually class 4 and class 5 rapids. Mm. So we just had a good time. We went whitewater rafting. We went biking in Costa Rica. We went fishing. We went to the camp, and it was a great time. Actually, the whitewater rafting trip was probably the best rafting trip I've ever had in my life, and my brothers loved it too. That was actually when Michael's older kids went on that one, Keith and Alec, and they loved it too. They said that was one of their
How
favorite.
old were they? In high school?
They were in high school, yeah.
So it was that long ago?
Yeah, they were in high school, so that was like 6 or 7 years ago.
What about when you were little with your siblings, though?
My favorite trip when I was little?
Well, not trip, just like memory with, like, when you were younger, before you went off to college with one of your
Actually,
siblings.
when I was really younger, I still remember every summer we would go spend 2 or 3 weeks in Massachusetts, and out on the farm.
Yeah.
And I remember like playing in the hay and doing stuff like that. That was a lot of fun.
What was your best memory in high school, like with your friends, like junior high or high school?
Junior high or high school?
Yeah, like with your friends.
Junior high. Best memory of junior high.
So when you were like 13 to 18, basically.
Okay. Let me see. Best memory in junior high. Well, junior high was still in Hialeah, so I still knew everybody, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know. Junior high is kind of a vague.
Well, what about high school?
Actually, I was the assistant editor of the newspaper. I remember,
Really?
yeah, and I remember writing articles. Actually, that was a good time. I would write all kinds of articles.
About what?
You name it, man.
When you lived in Hialeah?
Yeah, most of them wouldn't get approved. She said I was a little radical. No.
What was radical?
I'd write about how
like the war in Vietnam?
No, I'd write about how
Wasn't Vietnam over by then?
I would write about how we had portables, classrooms, and how the wind would just blow right through the portable classrooms, and it was cold or it was hot, and the AC would never work in the portable classrooms, and I remember that actually back then school was only 5 hours a day because the schools were so overcrowded. Schools were on 2 shifts in junior high. It was really weird.
Really? How did they only teach you for 5 hours a day?
You'd go like 5 or 6 hours a day, and you wouldn't do lunch. So lunch was gone, and the breaks were minimal too. Might have been 6 hours a day. Yeah. So when they would do 2 shifts at the school, that's how overcrowded it was. So it wasn't good. I remember that.
I feel like your parents never really looked into the school system.
That's my worst. My worst memory was when we moved to Orlando, and we moved from the middle of Hialeah, where
wasn't Hialeah like a city, like too?
It's a big, huge city.
Yeah,
we moved from the middle of the big, huge city to a place that you had to drive 35 minutes to get to civilization.
Yeah.
I mean, we had 15 minutes on a dirt road to get to the house, so it wasn't even a paved road, and there were only like 3 kids out there in the whole neighborhood, and they were scary. No, so that was the scariest point. The high school. I mean, I have a lot of good memories of high school.
21.
Playing tennis. I love to play tennis.
Yeah, I know you.
do.
I know you play tennis.
And but playing tennis, I used to play tennis every day, 2-3 hours a day. And
did you have time to go to work?
I'd go to work.
You didn't have a job.
I would work all kinds of odd jobs out in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
To make money, because I had to have some money. But
you didn't have to slave at Sonic.
Oh, it's good for you. It's character building, Julia. Actually, you wouldn't want some of the jobs I did when I was out of high school. I went and worked irrigation in the orange groves, probably the dirtiest, nastiest job you've ever seen. Mm-hmm. I worked, actually my favorite job was when I worked out at the hotel in the summer, and I worked as a rental car agent. It was good stuff.
What hotel?
Actually worked out at the Hilton right by Disney World.
The Hilton by Disney?
Yeah. It was
nice.
It was nice. That was my favorite all-time. One of my favorite all-time jobs.
Wasn't Disney still kind of new?
Yeah, it was brand new.
Yeah, because when did Disney open? 70 what?
Yeah, it wasn't brand new. It had been open a while, but it was
Disney didn't open. Disney World didn't open until 1970 something.
I went to Disney the year it opened. I forgot about that.
You did?
Yeah, actually, Uncle John and I went up with one of the aunts. Aunt Claudia took us up, and we went to Disney World. And we went to Disney World for 3 days, and that was pretty cool. So we were one of the first ones in the neighborhood to go to Disney.
Well, and, we did your best memory. So what's your worst memory with your siblings growing up?
My worst memory with my siblings.
Or something that they did that really upset your parents, and you just remember that.
Oh, when my sister got married, Sheila.
Oh, and she was 19?
Yeah. I remember my mom just crying, and it wasn't happiness. And I remember my dad just shaking his head going, oh.
Was she pregnant before they got married?
No, she wasn't pregnant at all. But
why did she get married?
She wanted to get married. She was 19. She thought she knew everything. And she already had her 2-year degree done. Okay. And that's what she wanted to do. There was too many rules at the house. And so I still remember that. Her wedding was bad. I mean,
Did she get married in a church, or
yeah, we had a church, and they had a big wedding afterwards.
They had a reception?
They had a big reception, yeah.
Really? I thought it was they eloped.
No. It was a big reception. It was actually, the reception was at their house. I remember that in Miami Lakes, and we'd been there before. But it was a big reception. There was tons of people. And it was a big wedding, too, because their house was on this big lake. And Miami Lakes was really nice, but...
How'd she get such a nice house?
It wasn't Sheila's house. It was his parents' house.
Oh.
His parents owned this business that they did metal awnings. And they did a lot of them, actually. His parents were real successful. But
he wasn't, though, was he?
No. He was a sales guy for his parents. And I actually never liked the guy either, I remember.
How old were you?
Actually, I was probably was I in elementary school or junior high first year?
Aunt Sheila's...
I'd have to figure about that, but I remember he came over to dinner one night. I was probably in elementary school.
You probably would have been 10.
Yeah, I was probably in elementary school, and I didn't like him. And so I took the potatoes and I loaded them up and flicked them on him on his suit. No,
really?
Yeah.
Wait, I think Meme told me about this. How you took the spoon and you were throwing them at him
and flicked the potatoes right on him. The mashed potatoes. And he's he was really mad.
Yeah.
And my mom,
what did Aunt Sheila do?
Aunt Sheila was mad at me too, but my mom she goes, how could you do that? And then afterwards, I remember after he left, I didn't even get in trouble, man. I got dessert.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny. What did Pepe say? Anything?
Yeah, Pepe said, don't at the table I got a lecture. Don't do that again. That's not polite to guests.
Yeah.
But he didn't say anything afterwards, and I didn't get in trouble. I remember that. So I remember it was really weird. I expected to get in trouble, and I didn't get in trouble at all. Yeah. So I guess I was feeling the vibe, man. I was feeling the vibe.